Hello everyone, I'm CrypticFox, and welcome back to Ark Survival Evolved. We're continuing to build out the little base that we have here for our tribe, and the tribe has been growing over time. We've been getting a few more people on board, a couple more buildings have gone up, and there's even some people that are building in this area now that aren't part of the tribe, but are starting to build up something pretty big over there. In one of the more recent episodes, I built out this farm here so that we could try to build some farm plots to grow crops that I wanted to use to try and do some taming. Now, my plan for tonight was actually to do some taming with the Pteranodon so that we'd have something we could fly around on. However, some big dinosaur came stamping through here and destroyed these 4 crop plots over here, as well as the end of my irrigation system, and I had to rebuild all that. They also destroyed all the compost bins that were here, and there was a storage bin here that had some stuff too. So I'm kind of in the... Oh, somebody's going for a ride on the T-Rex. I'm kind of in the process of rebuilding all this. And I did get some rock carrots planted, but they're just not going to be ready for tonight. So that's not really going to be an option. Instead, I thought what we would do is kind of build out something to help defend the area a little bit better so that we don't have these big dinosaurs stomping through and just demolishing stuff anymore. But first of all, I wanted to show off this little pig dino that I've got here. So he's a championship pooper, as I said when I tamed him. And I don't know how often it goes to the bathroom, but it sure goes an awful lot. And they're really great for fertilizing the crops. But in a situation like this, where my fertilizer has gotten all wiped out, this is where this guy really shines. So we can actually just go into his inventory, if I can just not ride him. Go into his inventory, and we'll give him some stem berries. And all by himself, he should be able to just totally replenish my my lost fertilizer. So I'm going to give him some extra berries as well, because they do tend to go through a lot of food when you do this. But if we go into stem berries and select them, and then we just start making him use them, remote use this item, pretty much every time you push the button, he's going to poop. So that's 1 poop down. We can just start to ram through a whole bunch of berries. I mean, it's not every time, but you can get a whole lot. You can pretty much turn this poor little guy into a little poop fountain. So we can get him to just fire out all kinds of manure that we can use to pump in here for fertilizer. And then with the berries that are in his system, he'll go and eat all that. So he'll get all cut up. So we've got a pretty good amount of poop to work with here. And all by himself, he's pretty much recovered my fertilizer for me. Whoops. I might have to move him forward a little bit. He's got the poop stuck underneath him and everything. No, we got it all. So it's only medium-sized poop. It isn't the large size the way you can get from a Bronto or a T-Rex for that matter. But just like that, we pretty much got enough that we can fill up everything we need in here. Oh, I hit the wrong button. I just ate some pig poop. Oh, that's awesome. Not so much. I think I just made myself sick. I'm pretty sure I'm losing health right now. Who knew? Eating feces isn't good for you. Alright, so I'm going to leave a spot in here so we can put a little bit more thatch in with each one, but this will give me a pretty good resupply. I'm going to die. Okay, I better eat some food. Something real. There we go. It bounces back quickly, at least, after you've been sick. We even have some leftover here, so I'm going to leave enough for thatch in each one of these so we can put in some more. So we'll pretty get a pretty good chunk of fertilizer off of that. But we can also just put the manure straight into the crop plots as well. So that'll let us kind of boost up the fertilizer that's in here. I'll put 4 in here, I guess. And in this one we'll put 3. And then hopefully these will be well fertilized now. We don't have to worry too much about adding more fertilizer to them. So I have like 51,000 or something. Probably before the end of the night I'll just double check and make sure it's well topped off. But in worst case scenario, when you don't have some actual fertilizer made up out of the compost bin, these guys can do a pretty good job of fertilizing your crops for you. Now they do take up more spots because each one only each little chunk of manure only gives you so much fertilizer, where the cone of fertilizer gives you more. But in a pinch, these guys work really good. There's a couple other dinosaurs you can do. You can feed them stem berries, and they'll poop like crazy that way too. The Doedicarus is another one. Not only are they good for gathering stone, but see, like this guy just pooped like twice in a matter of like a minute. So I mean they're pretty quick as it is, but the Doedicarus seems to go a lot too. But even better when you can do some stem berry control there and get them to just fire it out rapid fire. I'm gonna put this in here too. Might as well since I have it. All right, so plans for what I want to do today. So what I'm thinking is that I'd like to build a wall that goes from the water into the cliff line there, and put a big gate in it so that obviously so we can get in and out of it. But I want to kind of use it to keep the big dinosaurs out. Now there are some people that have built some things out on this side of the wall, and I don't know that I want to make the wall like too far out. I mean, I guess I could build it out here on this corner so I can kind of capture these people in it. But I'm thinking maybe more a little bit closer to the central part of our base over here. So I'm going to build the wall out this way, but what I want to do on the end of the wall out here in the water, if I can manage it, where the water gets deep is pretty much where the dinosaurs will stop going in to get around the wall, I think. So what I'd like to do is build up from the ground here and build a foundation out here in the water, and then build a tower that's kind of sitting out in the water, almost like it's the entrance to like a little harbor or a bay sort of thing. Now, I haven't tested this out yet to see if it's going to work, but I think for the most part it should be okay. Now, the tricky part will be trying to line things up straight so that it kind of, when I build the wall off of it, it works well. But I could probably do something that's just actually based off the edge of this stone foundation so that when I build outwards, I know that I'm kind of continuing in a straight line. But I got to gather up the resources that I need, and then I think we'll start with pillars underneath here to build up for like almost like a floating foundation. And then hopefully I have enough pillars made that we can get up to the surface of the water. Alright, so I got all the supplies that I need. Let's try to get this figured out here for the spacing. And then I want to get a fair way out in the water, but I don't want to be super deep. So maybe the best option would be to just bring my boat over so I have it as a sort of a dive platform. And that'll let me kind of see when I'm lined up where I want to be. And then I can also kind of position myself over top of where I want to be in the water that way. So I would like to be at least a little ways out in the water, but over in this section, it seems to drop off pretty steeply. So I don't know how far out I'm going to be able to go. I think I've actually... No, I might actually be a little bit farther than I want to be. Hold on, I got to turn this boat around and try to position this better. Alright, that's a little better. That'll give me a good sight line there. So I think around here is where the water starts to get really deep. Yeah. So this should work pretty good. You can see the big Sarco the guy's got tamed across the way there. He's got some pretty cool dinosaurs over there. Okay. Let's get back out of the water so we can get a good line on things. So I've got the ship pretty much lined up in a straight line, I think, for where I want this to be. The first thing we're going to try to put down here is a pillar at the bottom. Now, the question is whether I can do this. I might have to put a foundation down the bottom first, if it will let me. It's kind of a slope, so I don't know if this is going to work or not. I'm really hoping I can just stick a foundation under the water. There we go. Hopefully that's lined up nice and square. It's really hard to tell, unfortunately. Let's see if we can get this set up just right. I don't know how many I'm going to need to get to the depth that I want. Okay, so now that I've got the pillars going pretty much right to the surface, which is kind of how I want this to be. Wow, that actually worked out like the perfect depth. Let's start with a thatch roof initially. I'm going to replace this with stone, ultimately, if that's the route that I'm going to go. I mean, it still looks like it's lined up pretty square. That's good. I'm going to put one over here as well. Oops. There we go. And I'll see if I can put the foundation underneath this now. So I'm snapping it to the roof instead of to... instead of to the post. It doesn't look like it's going to work. This works really good when you're building with the raft, but it doesn't look like it's going to work, unfortunately, for this type of a setup. Nope. Drat. Alright, so I think I'm going to have to go with stone roofs instead of the stone foundation that I was going to put here. But I think in the end it'll still work out the same. Especially since this is like just exactly right at the top of the water, which is where I want it. So I'm going to have to go and make some stone roofs so that I can swap those out. Oh, I'm drowning. Ah, let's not drown. Alright, I swapped out our thatch topper for a stone one. It actually ends up being just a tiny bit thinner, so there's just a little skim of water that goes right over the top of the little ceiling piece here now. But we have enough that we can build out, make our full little stone platform here, which is kind of cool because it's at the water level, but it's kind of just below it, which I think still looks really neat. I mean, even with the thatch, it was at a good height, so, I mean, I think either one of these really works out well. So this is going to give me a good basis that I can use to build my tower on. Now, the tricky part will be actually placing all of these foundation pieces. So, I'm not sure which is inside and which is outside on these, so I probably might need to test this a little bit. Now, there is a way, apparently, like there should be like some color variation that you can see in it, but you can see how it's kind of shifting to a couple different snap points even. On the outside edge, it only has the one snap point. On the inside, it's got a couple. Now, I want this ultimately to be, I guess, towards the outer edge of this platform would work better, since that's kind of where we're going to have our sort of the outer edge of our wall here. So, okay, so we can, it should be able to snap onto a 45-degree angle here. Instead of going 90s, I want to get it to snap off of this foundation instead of the actual floor. If I can, oh, I had it there for a second. Oh, it's so finicky trying to get this thing to work sometimes. There we go. So that'll give us the two angles. Now, again, we're gonna start snapping everything off of the foundation piece instead of, or off the fence foundation instead of off the floor, because we want it to be all kind of matched up. But this is going to be really tricky because getting these things to kind of align is always a bit of a pain. It's not wanting to pick it at all now. Come on. Oh, I had it there for a second. All right, so maybe I'll try this other end here first and see if maybe we have a little bit of luck going the other way. Come on. I wish there was a cleaner way to do this, because it ends up just being so messy. I had it there for just a moment, and it skipped right past it on me. Again, it's just, you can see it kind of, there we go. It flickers through the state, but it, oh. No, that was in the, it was in the right place. There we go. All right, so we've got two of them down. This is going to take a little bit of doing to get this all the way around. All right, I finally got that foundation stuck there. So it seems to not like to snap, you know, those little corner pieces there. Unfortunately, when there's a flooring in the middle of it, so it just keeps trying to grab the floor pieces. So the way I got around it was I destroyed the floor piece underneath the part where I was trying to connect. Then I could get out and get it connected on that side. Now, I did try building on this other side here first. See if maybe there was something I could do that way, but it didn't work out. So I'm just going to demolish these pieces here. I'm probably going to have to do the same thing again, which isn't awesome because getting these to connect is really tough. I get an angle connection that way, so maybe we'll get lucky on this corner here and we can actually connect on the angle we need. Nope, it's not going to do it. All right, so let's try this again. If we demolish the ceiling piece, then it should stop trying to snap to that part. And then when we come out here, I think I can get it to snap on the end of here. Come on, I saw it snap there. Even just for a second. There we go. Where'd it go? It just vanished. I think I just stuck it down in the water. After endless amounts of fidgeting, I think I finally have a snap point. Hopefully, please let this piece go down. Yes! Oh my goodness, this is taking forever. If you do decide to build this kind of like a, I would call it like a round build. It's not exactly round, it's more like a, alright. So clearly that wasn't snapped to the piece that I thought it was. I had an extra extension piece out there that I had stuck out there just on the hopes that I might be able to snap something to that and kind of get largely what I wanted. And as it turns out, it actually did snap to it. But, well, it took an exceptionally long time, but I did finally manage to get most of the ring completed. There's one last section here that I can't get to bridge across it. Now, I know when you're on normal ground, you have the ability to kind of destroy the foundation and then put the fence foundation actually sticking in the ground where it's not trying to snap to a snap point, but I can't really do that while I'm out here in the water. I don't think I can get it lined up well enough underneath the water to be able to stack up what I might need to get this to snap properly. So I'm going to try and see what we can do to put up some walls here anyway. And then I may have to just, this last side here, I may have to kind of jury rig it a little bit. I can get it to snap so it's halfway through here, so there's like half of it sticking out that way and half out that way. I mean, worst case scenario, maybe we make it rounded on this side over here, but squared off on the other. I'll have to kind of toy around with it a little bit and see what I can do with it. But for now, we can stick our walls up on here. The tricky part is going to be that there is going to be a point here where it's just not. Oh, I rotate. There we go. Where it's not going to line up exactly right. And see, we're going to get some gaps in the wall because it's not going to be facing the right way. That worked out well there for that seam. Yeah, this side over here, I didn't quite get it seamed up properly. This one foundation here is not facing. I didn't put it down while it was facing in the right direction, so it's not letting me close up the gaps entirely there. All right, that's working okay. Actually, I was expecting a larger gap here, and there is a bit of a gap, but it's not too big of one. And then this one here again is probably going to have this is going to have a big gap. No, again, I mean you can clearly tell that it's not lined up properly, but it doesn't have a horrendous gap in it. So we've got basically three sides of it here. And then this last one, I'm going to have to figure out what to do. I might end up just having to leave it open. Unless I can figure out some way to build from the ground level up so that I can get what I need here. I mean, I'm still at a point now, even with the walls in place here, you can see how it's kind of snapping to that middle point, but it's not actually letting it extend across. It's even more limited now because I don't have a floor there at the moment. But I am going to replace the floor there, and we'll do some more. I think I accidentally I just placed a foundation right in the middle. I can't win for trying today. All right, so we'll make do with what we have for now, and I'm going to do a little bit more of experimenting and see if I can come up with a way that will let me close off that last section. But what we're going to do here is we'll build up this tower. I'm going to need to gather a whole bunch more resources. I used a lot trying to build out this floor piece because I kept having to place pieces and then remove them. So not only did it take a lot of time, but it took a fair amount of resources. You can even see where I tried to experiment a little bit with the thatch roof underneath here to try and get it to snap in the way that I wanted it to. But so it took a crazy amount of fiddling, but I actually did come up with a solution for how I wanted to finish off the last part of this building. Now, I couldn't get this last section in the octagon to go in on the floor over here in terms of the wall foundation. So instead what I did was I was able to get a wall foundation that could go straight out to the side that way on each side of it. So I put a wall down there, and then I just put the door at the end. So what we'll end up having is most of the tower will be octagon shaped, so it's kind of almost roundish, I guess. And then the one section where the door is will be a bit of a more of a straight part that goes upward. Now it's not exactly ideal for how I wanted to build it, but I think overall it's a reasonable compromise. I did add some of these pieces in here because I needed to make sure I was going to be able to make the connections that have to happen in order for this to build up. So actually, if I have let's just get some of these in my little hot bar here so we can put the walls down quickly. Hello? There we go. Alright, so now if we just place the walls down, what will happen is if I put this corner piece here down first, then I won't be able to put this wall section here because it doesn't let the two of them butt together. However, if I put this one down first, and then I put down this one, it will let them join together. I have no idea why that is, but that is the way that it behaves, unfortunately. So that's just kind of basically what we're going to have to work with, I guess. Now, what I'm having trouble here... There we go. Alright, so we've got the start of our tower here. Now, this is going to end up being a pretty tall tower overall. We are going to need to use some ladders and some stairs and things. I think I'm going to put in ladders to start with because they're cheap, and they're really quick and easy to build. And then later on, as I get more of the tower kind of completed out, I'd like to swap it out and actually put in stairs instead, if that's something I can actually work out. I have to double check on the spacing in here to see whether the stairs will work because they have that crazy curve to them. So I think if I put them out here well enough, they should curve around, and then I can get to the next floor and then curve up from there, and we'll do like a curving set of stairs that go all the way up this tower. It's pretty wet here at the bottom. I wish it had been just a tiny bit higher. When I put in the thatch foundations, it stood just above barely above the water line. So we would have had a dry floor, but instead we have a wet one, which, you know, could be worse, I guess. Oh, my torch just broke. And I don't have the materials to repair it. I guess it... darn. Alright, I got my torch fixed. So I had to make a ton of walls in order to build this out. And you can kind of see the shape of it a little bit better from up here. When you're down inside, you can't really see the shape of the tower too well. So the one side does stick out a little bit, but it's not that bad. If I could figure out a way to get that stone wall foundation there to go across, I mean, even if the bottom part had to have that shape to it, it would, you know, I'd be okay with that too. I think in the end, though, it works out well enough. The hard part here is getting in and out of this thing. Now, I'm going to actually need to put some sort of a ramp or something in front of the doorway because it just gets to be kind of a pain trying to get in here, particularly at night because my torch goes out. There we go. All right, so from here I can do another 3 layers of building, and then I'll have to drop down. And then at that point, it's going to be really important that I get hatches. Otherwise, I'm just not going to be able to build in here. So now the tricky part will be, can I get everything to snap correctly? I did that backwards. See, that's exactly what happens. If you do that corner piece instead of this side one, then unfortunately it doesn't let you build. Alright, I'm going to take the easy route and just build the floor out in the middle so I can get close enough to destroy this wall. It's probably for the best anyway. That way, as I'm building up, if I make any other mistakes, it's a little bit easier to get into position to fix it. So I'm not entirely sure how many levels I'm going to have to build this up. I'm thinking at least 6 to start with. Because once I build the wall out there, when it's out of the water, it's going to be a slightly higher level, and I'm going to have a behemoth gate over there, so it's going to need to be big enough to accommodate that, ultimately. Cut off my ship here so we don't have access to that anymore. So that was an easy way to get in and out, just by climbing up on the boat. I made like 50 walls here so that we'd have a good start to getting this done. I am ultimately going to want to put in something that has like a door as well. So when we get up to a certain level, I kind of want to be able to walk out onto the wall. So it's, you know, for now, I'm just going to make it a straight tower. And then later I can kind of, I can modify the walls and stuff that I put in here in order to have all those little features that I'd like to have in there. How many walls have I got left here? Not very many, only 2. Yep, that's it. All right, so I got more in my bag, or more in my ship anyway. I am also going to want to paint this, I think, once I get high enough. So uh-oh. I'm not going to be able to get back up on here. Well, that stinks. I need a Pteranodon. But I don't know that a Pteranodon can even hold me. I think I could put you know what, I could put a ladder on here, that's fine. Alright, it was a bit of a pain, but I did actually manage to get the ladders placed on here. I used 2 of them on this outside edge here. And the way they positioned, for some reason, I couldn't climb up, so that kind of stunk. Log off some more of that sunlight up there. Who needs sunlight? There's quite a gap in this one little corner of the wall here, unfortunately, because the piece that I set in as the foundation at the bottom wasn't quite facing the right way as the rest of it. So for the most part, the rest of the walls all seem together really well. Just not so much that one side. Now we're at the point where we need yet another floor up, and I think I'm out of ladders. I'm gonna have to build some. All right, we're pretty much up. I think I'm thinking maybe this is probably going to be roughly the height of the wall. Is that? No, it's just a parasaur down there. I think I thought that was a raptor for a second. I think this is probably going to be around the height that we're going to have the wall. But I do want the tower to go a little bit higher than the wall. So we're going to build out still more that we need to put out here. So maybe another, I don't know, another 2 rows of these, and then I'll put another floor up top. And then I can build at the top of the tower later. And once I have the rest of the tower built out, too, I also want to paint it so that it has like a, I don't know, either like a red or a blue roof to it. Give it a little bit more character. Ah, I didn't mean to build that one. I just wasted resources again. I'm going to do these ones first. There we go. Oh no, I'm out of walls. Ah. Okay, so I have the tower built pretty much to the height that I'm going to want it to be for the top level anyway. Up here I'm going to put a floor, and then there'll be maybe a little building here, and we'll do sort of a roof on top that I ultimately want to paint either like a blue or red so it stands out a little bit. Now the tricky part here will be, can we get the flooring pieces to fit in all the way that we need them to? So because of these funny corners, we're actually going to have to do some, try and get them to sort of match in a little bit like that so they sort of blend in. I don't know if they're going to end up overhanging a little bit or not. And I'm not sure whether it will let me overlap all the sides. Yeah, it looks like it's going to, so that's good. And I'm all out of food. That's always something. Alright, so we've got... Actually, that side doesn't exactly line up right. Because the way I snapped this flooring in, I didn't base it on that side. And I just ran out of flooring too. So I'm going to need to finish out the floor up here. I did actually also start to put together a bit of a wall down bottom so I could make sure that I could line that up properly. So I think I have it squared away pretty good. That line of wall is going to extend all the way out towards the sort of the rocky bluff out there. We'll put a dino gate probably, I'm thinking probably down here nearer the beach, just so that it's a little bit flatter, because if you get too much of a slope, then you can't put a gate inside the dino gate frame or the behemoth gate. Up here, I'm probably going to extend the floor out so that it sort of fans out a little bit, and then we'll do railing and we'll do a building up top here. Assuming I can get it to snap to this floor. Now, I've made a horrible mess of things by overlapping all this flooring, so I'm not sure how it's going to snap or whether it will even work out. But overall, I think everything seems to be turning out pretty much the way that I wanted it to. It was a bit fussy kind of getting this here, and it took an awful long time. I don't even want to admit how much time it took to do this because of all the slightly misplaced pieces that had to be removed and then put back down, and the foundation at the bottom ultimately was the worst part of it. But in the end, I think we have a nice tall tower. This will make a good size, I think, relative to the wall that I need to make. And if worst case scenario, I can always make this a little bit taller and it won't be that big of a deal. I did also put a hatch here with a ladder that goes all the way down bottom so I can get rid of the other layers that I have in there now. And then later on, if I want to build out other floors inside, I can do that. But I got to call it a wrap for now. I'll do a little bit of work on the wall in between videos, and then when we come back, hopefully we can get the behemoth gate in place, and we'll have mostly a finished wall in here. And then I still want to tame a pteranodon. My rock carrots are largely ready, so I think I can make some kibble next time too. But we'll tackle it all next time. Thanks everyone for checking out the video. Hope you enjoy these, and you'll come back and check out some more. I'm as always CrypticFox. I'll see all of you next time.